Our Zerg player is starting to the bottom left of the map. We have in the red our Zerg player. It is
SuHoSin.
Down a game, started things out with the 6 pull on map number 1 and Entomb. They did not really want to go into this long macro game. Well, at least he thought that he would be able to take down at least a few of the harvests of the opponents early on. But the player to the top right in the blue, he defended very well. This is the Slayer's player. This is the Protoss called
Slayer's Crank.
Had to cancel his Nexus several times because of his opponent's aggression, but still was able to defend afterwards. Had his units on the map, extended himself way out there. Oh! I think it said he's from Malaysia, but I couldn't quite see. But, yeah. Okay. He was from Malaysia. I got a confirmation of this, so. Welcome to Korea from Malaysia.
And welcome 12 pool.
Yeah, very fast.
Exactly, he's building the pool a little bit faster. The thing is if you start with a 12 pool, you don't necessarily try to go for an aggressive build and attack your opponent. What you can also do is just, you try to force him to not start with the Nexus first. To start with the wall, or to start with the forge, and maybe even the first building in the wall, so the gateway. That is one of the things that you try to aim for. You can also try to attack, but a lot of Zergs in the past have just tried to build the earlier pool. The Protoss scouted it, and they relied on the Protoss's well, let's just say on his practical sense, on his common sense, to build the forge before the Nexus.
Yeah, sometimes players will try to, for example, Oz is really known for this, try to get away with making the Nexus anyways after seeing an early pull. We do see 6 Lings though coming out for Suho, and this is going to be, I mean, this will be defendable. He's going to start his cannon right away in just a few seconds, but it's a pretty big commitment to make 6 Lings. That's 3 drones gone. Most people make 4 Lings anyways, no matter what build it is, but that's 1 less drone, and these Lings will likely not actually do any damage.
No, with 4 Lings you cannot do too much damage. You can try to sneak in if there's a gap, and you will be able to get in with a few of your units, but as you can see, the wall is complete. So the cannon will be there in time, and the Lings have no chance of actually sneaking in there. And he split his Zerglings, because what you usually see with this is also the Protoss trying to block the expansion of his opponent to force these Lings back. So he wants to pose a decision in front of the Zerg player. Either you attack right now and you have the chance of killing something, but it's not guaranteed, or you take your expansion, but in order to do so, you have to stop your aggression and leave the Zerglings behind.
Yeah, and I mean, that's actually a really good point. That's another reason why you can make the 6 Lings. That's why they can be quite useful. I've seen players make no Lings even, but that can be terrible if the pylon block is there. And we will see. Line is sending his Lings around the left side to make sure that there's no pro blocking his third base. He's probably going to go take that very soon. Although he has gassed. Actually,
very early tech here. The layer tech is very, very fast.
This is... when I saw the double gas, I was like, well, he's going to take his third anyways, and he's going to go... I thought he might add a Roach Horn fairly soon, but it was too fast of gas, and it's going to be fast layer. Could be for Spire. Something like Nidus or just pure Hydralisk with Overlord Creep Highway is entirely possible as well, though.
It's probably going to be Mutalisks. Usually on this map, when you go for this kind of build, it's going to be Mutalisk. It could also be Infestors, but Infestors... We've seen several Infestor strategies on this map. The more common choice is Mutalisks, but for example, Freaky will start with Infestors here, obviously. Will transition into a third base. This is something that other Zerg players, as for example Yu-Gi-Oh! Have done as well. There's the Stargate transition already. I doubt that we are going to see a Nidus network, even though we have Overlords in position at the main base, but it's a huge gamble if you do it.
Yeah.
It's not unheard of, but it's gambling. And he actually does it. He actually goes for the Nidus and the Hydralisk.
I figured that if he was going to go Nidus, he would not take the third gas.
But this is actually gambling a lot. Well, it depends how exactly he's going to use it. If he builds the Nidus just as a forward Nidus and not inside the main base, then he can hit a timing here when he can push his opponent. This is something that we've seen, like, I would say 2-3 months ago. We've seen it occasionally, especially on Dual Side. This was one of the maps where it was really played quite often.
Dual Side and Crossfire are the 2 most common maps, I would say.
So it has been fallen a little bit off the grid, this kind of strategy, but Yeah, that is exactly what he tries to do here, but where is the Nidus going to be? And this timing will actually be perfect because there's a Void Ray transition, and it couldn't be better for SuHoSin.
Yeah, it's absolutely great because he's going to be really late on this Colossi that he's going to want to eventually deal with these Hydras.
He doesn't have the gateways.
No, he's got nothing. He's got literally, he's making a cannon right now. There is the Nidus.
It's not a common strategy, but in this case it works so well because
he's
there's
not going to
basically
finish
nothing.
Wargate research.
Yeah, that's one of the things, and the cannons are the only thing that stand between SuHoSin and his win. If he plays this well and gets more queens and more Hydralisks, the game should be over. This is just a push that Crank did not expect at all, just because it hasn't been played in quite a while. And with he can transfuse and he will. Yep. He's baiting the fire of the cannons, and now he can transfuse his Hydralisks too. There it is, can defuse the Hydralisks. The Queen's doing an awesome job here. And so far, he's played really well. Another Nidus in the main base now. And here we go. We have units in the main base. And this will be the final blow to Crank. There is no way he can defend without gateway research. And with only 1 or 2 Void Rays, this is not possible.
It is absolutely not possible. The probe's coming off the line here. He's trying to surround the Queen. Creep tumors are being laid. And yeah, the Phoenix can try to lift up a Hydralisk, but he doesn't even feel like it. All right, there he goes. But yeah, too much has been lost. This game is absolutely over. SuHoSin, double Nidus network here, and GG calls Crank. We're going to a game 3.
Very interesting here by SuHoSin. As we said, it's a strategy. Usually on this map with such a time with the early tech, you see the third player trying to take gamble, trying to rely on his opponent, playing a little bit more passive, going for the tech, going for the Mutalisk build. It is not, well, depending on if you're Freaky or as Hosa, so you can also go for Infestor play first, but this is something that you will see very rarely these days, and Crank did not expect this at all. He's smiling, he's like, well, that didn't work out, and he kind of chose exactly the strategy that would guarantee his loss. If he would have started with gateways and a gateway timing, he might have been able to get enough Stalkers into the picture in order to actually do this. And you also lacked the pylon in the main base to spot the second Nidus.
Yeah, that was a big problem for him. You know, when you go for this Stargate tech, it's the best possible scenario for the Zerg, like you said. Very unfortunate circumstances for Crank, but he still seems in high spirits as he did after game 1. And I think he's thinking to himself, well, all I have to do is play super safe in game 3, because you've shown me actually 2 very aggressive strategies in a row. The next map is going to be a 2-player map, Ohana. And I'll basically, if he defends well, if we see Lion repeat this strategy, he's going to be fine. But the thing is, because Lion knows this, he may actually play really greedy as a result and hope that Crank plays too safe.
The thing about Lion is that I personally have the feeling that Lion is a player who is not as comfortable as other players to go into the macro game, which doesn't mean that he is not able to play it, but he really likes builds, very aggressive builds that hit a certain timing where he tries to surprise his opponent. We've seen him get into Code S by defeating a lot of players in the up and downs where he used the same kind of strategy over and over again, different variations of a Roach Baneling attack. This is just the type that he really likes. Early game pressure, early mid-game pressure, strategies revolving around these type of attacks, and this might be something, that might be something that he has obviously for Hana as well.
Yep. You know, he actually beat Karn yesterday in the OSL qualifiers with an all-in strategy.
Let me guess, Roach Baneling?
Yeah, it was. Beat him on Ohana with that. See what he does this time on Ohana against Crank. This is the final game. Only one player will advance and go to the up and down matches. The other one will be out of the GSL Code A.